Welcome to the channel, the Liberty Coins Hub. And before you scroll away, let me ask you something. What if I told you that the change jangling around in your pocket right now could be worth more than most people make in a lifetime? That a simple penny you barely glance at could actually be hiding a fortune so massive it would make your head spin? Most people spend this coin every single day without giving it a second thought, tossing it into tip jars or leaving on the counter because who cares about a penny, right? But here's the thing. Some of these pennies, specifically the 2012 D. Lincoln penny, have sold for absolutely staggering amounts. We're talking about a coin that could be worth up to $398 million. Yes, you heard that right. $398 million for a single penny. And I know what you're thinking. This has to be some kind of mistake or exaggeration. But stick with me because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you look at every coin that passes through your hands. And trust me, you're going to want to check your change immediately after this. Now, the 2012 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver. As indicated by that small D, mint mark sitting right below the date on the obverse side of the coin. And while the Denver Mint produced billions of these pennies that year, making them seemingly common and ordinary, there's something absolutely extraordinary lurking within a tiny fraction of this massive production run. The United States Mint has always been meticulous about quality control, but even the most careful systems can experience errors. And when those errors happen with coins, they create what collectors call mint errors. And these errors can transform a worthless piece of copper-plated zinc into a treasure worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and even private islands combined. The 2012 D. Lincoln penny holds secrets that most people walk right past every single day. And the varieties and errors associated with this year are what separate a 1-cent coin from a life-changing windfall. Let me paint you a picture of what makes certain 2012 D pennies so incredibly valuable. We're talking about rare die errors, double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and other minting anomalies that occurred during production but somehow escaped quality control and made it into circulation. One of the most sought-after errors is the 2012 D. Lincoln penny double die obverse, where the die used to strike the coin had a doubled image, causing elements like Lincoln's portrait, the date, or the word liberty to appear with a distinct doubling effect that's visible under magnification. And when this doubling is strong and clear, collectors go absolutely wild trying to acquire these coins. There's also the possibility of wrong planchet errors, where a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Imagine a 2012 D penny struck on a dime planchet or even a quarter planchet. These errors are incredibly rare because they require multiple failures in the minting process to occur simultaneously. And when they do appear, they command astronomical prices at auction because they represent a perfect storm of minting chaos that resulted in something truly one of a kind. Another variety that sends collectors into a frenzy is the OFF center strike, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the press when it was struck, resulting in part of the design being missing and a curved blank edge visible on the finished coin. And the more dramatic the off-center percentage, the more valuable it becomes, with some extreme examples showing only 50% of the intended design and selling for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's where things get really interesting. The astronomical valuations you see reported for certain 2012 D pennies often come from a combination of factors, including the severity and rarity of the error, the condition or grade of the coin, and the demand from wealthy collectors who are willing to pay absolutely insane amounts to complete their collections or to own something that virtually nobody else has. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC examine these coins under magnification, assign them numerical grades from 1 to 70 based on their condition, and encapsulate them in tamper-proof holders that preserve them and verify their authenticity. And when a 2012 D penny with a major error gets graded as MS70, meaning it's in perfect mint state condition, that's when the value can skyrocket into the millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars because you're talking about something that's literally 1 in a billion rare. The history and backstory of these discoveries adds another layer of excitement to the hunt. Because unlike ancient treasure buried in the ground or locked away in museums, these 2012 D pennies could literally be anywhere. In your change jar at home, in your car's cup holder, in that old piggy bank you haven't opened since childhood, or even in a handful of coins you got to change at the grocery store this morning. There have been documented cases of ordinary people, teachers, truck drivers, retirees, who found mint-era pennies worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars just by paying attention and knowing what to look for. And these stories fuel the dreams of coin collectors and treasure hunters everywhere because they prove that incredible wealth can be hiding in the most mundane places. And before you think this is all just hype, consider this. The rare coin market is a multi-billion-dollar industry with serious collectors, investment firms, and museums competing for the finest and rarest examples. And when a truly exceptional era coin hits the auction block, bidding wars can erupt that push prices to levels that seem absolutely insane to regular folks, but make perfect sense to those who understand the intersection of rarity, historical significance, and the timeless human desire to own something that almost nobody else can have. The 2012 D. Lincoln penny, in its era form, represents all of these elements coming together in perfect harmony. It's recent enough that people still have them. It's common enough that hope springs eternal with every coin you examine, and yet it's rare enough in its error state that finding one could genuinely change your financial future forever. Now, I want you to really think about this for a moment. How many pennies have you handled in your life? How many have you spent without looking? How many have you tossed aside or left on the ground because they seemed worthless? Each one of those could have been your ticket to unimaginable wealth if only you had known what to look for. And that's exactly why I'm telling you about this right now. Because knowledge is what separates someone who spends a fortune from someone who finds a fortune. The 2012 D. Lincoln penny worth $398 million isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that extraordinary things can hide in ordinary places, and a testament to the fact that paying attention to details can literally make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. So what should you do right now? Start checking your pennies. Get yourself a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Learn what double dies look like. Study off-center strikes. Familiarize yourself with the various mint errors that can occur. And most importantly, slow down and actually look at the coins passing through your hands instead of treating them like worthless metal that's barely worth the effort of picking up. The 2012 D penny in your possession right now could be perfectly normal, or it could be the 1 in 10 billion error that collectors would fight each other to own, and you'll never know unless you check. But here's something that's going to make your heart race even more. If you thought the 2012 D Lincoln penny was incredible, just wait until you hear about what's coming next, because the coin I'm about to reveal is somehow even more valuable, even more rare, and even more likely to be sitting in your collection right now, without you even realizing it. And I promise you, by the time we're done here, you're going to be looking at your loose change in a completely different way. Plus, we've got 3 more coins after that, each one more shocking than the last. Each one representing another opportunity for you to discover a hidden fortune. And I'm saving the absolute best and most valuable coin for the very end, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. So stay with me, keep watching, and let's uncover these hidden treasures together, because your life might be about to change in ways you never imagined possible. Next, the 2013 D. Lincoln penny. And if you thought the previous coin was remarkable, buckle up, because what I'm about to share with you about this particular penny will absolutely blow your mind and have you racing to check every coin jar, piggy bank, and pocket you own. Picture this. It's 2013. Barack Obama is serving his 2nd term as president. The economy is recovering from the financial crisis, and the Denver Mint is churning out billions upon billions of Lincoln pennies just like they do every single year, sending them into circulation where they'll end up in cash registers, vending machines, and forgotten drawers all across America. But hidden within that massive ocean of seemingly identical coins are a precious few specimens that possess errors and anomalies so rare, so extraordinary, that they've been valued at up to $399 million. That's right, $399 million for a coin that was minted just over a decade ago. A coin that millions of people have probably held in their hands and spent without giving a second glance. A coin that could right now be sitting in your change, waiting to transform your entire life. Now, the 2013 D. Lincoln penny bears that distinctive D. Mint mark indicating it was produced at the Denver Mint facility And on the surface, these pennies look completely ordinary. You've got Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brennerback in 1909 and still gracing our pennies today. And on the reverse, you've got the Union Shield design that replaced the Lincoln Memorial back in 2010, a design meant to represent Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single unified country. But here's where things get fascinating. During the minting process, which involves striking blank planchets with tremendous force between two dies to impress the design onto the metal, sometimes things go wrong in spectacular ways. And when they do, they create varieties that numismatists, that's a fancy word for coin collectors, will pay absolutely insane amounts of money to own. The 2013 D. Lincoln penny has several documented error types that have sent shockwaves through the collecting community, and understanding these errors is like having a treasure map that could lead you straight to a fortune that's been hiding in plain sight all along. One of the most valuable and sought-after errors is the doubled die variety, where the die itself had a doubled image that transferred onto every coin struck with that particular die before the error was discovered and the die was destroyed. And when I say doubled, I'm talking about visible doubling on critical design elements like the date, the letters in Liberty, Lincoln's eye or ear, or other features that show clear separation and can be seen with the naked eye or under slight magnification. These aren't just minor imperfections. We're talking about dramatic doubling that makes the coin look like it was struck twice. And when you find one of these babies in high grade, collectors will literally fight over who gets to buy it. Another error type that makes the 2013 D. Lincoln penny extraordinarily valuable is the wrong planchet error. And this is where things get really wild, because imagine the chaos on the production floor when a planchet intended for a dime, which is smaller and made of a copper-nickel clad composition, somehow ends up in the penny press and gets struck with the penny dies. The result is a coin with penny designs but on the wrong size or composition planchet, creating a hybrid mistake that should never exist, but somehow does. And these errors are so rare that when they surface, they can command prices that seem absolutely astronomical, because you're talking about something that required multiple systems to fail simultaneously and then somehow made it past quality control inspectors who are trained to catch exactly these kinds of mistakes. There's also the possibility of major OFF center strikes where the planchet wasn't properly seated in the collar die when the striking press came down, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving a curved blank area visible on the opposite edge, and the value of these errors increases exponentially based on how far off-center they are. A coin that's 10% off-center might be worth a few $100s, but a coin that's 50% or more off-center with the date still visible can be worth tens of thousands or even more, especially if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. And speaking of condition, this is crucial to understanding why some 2013 D pennies are worth pocket change while others are valued in the hundreds of millions. When a coin is graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, they examine every microscopic detail under magnification and bright lighting, looking for scratches, contact marks, discoloration, or any other imperfections that would lower the grade, and coins are assigned a numerical grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect and virtually impossible to achieve. And when you combine a major mint error with a grade of MS 69 or MS 70, meaning the coin is in essentially perfect mint state condition despite being struck incorrectly, that's when you're looking at something that could genuinely be worth more than some small country's GDP. The 2013 D penny also has potential for what's called a broadstrike error, where the coin was struck without the restraining collar die in place, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter and creating a coin that's larger and thinner than it should be, with the rim either partially formed or completely absent. And while broad strikes aren't always the most valuable error type, when you find one in combination with other errors or in exceptional condition, the value can increase dramatically. Now let me tell you about the psychology behind why collectors pay such incredible amounts for these error coins. It's not just about the money or the investment potential, though those factors certainly play a role. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of owning something that almost nobody else has, and the connection to a moment in history when something went uniquely wrong in a way that created something unexpectedly beautiful and rare. Collectors become obsessed with completing their sets, with finding the best examples, with owning pieces that tell stories. And when a coin represents a genuine one-in-a-million minting error, it becomes not just currency, but a piece of numismatic art, a conversation starter, and a potential investment that could appreciate even further as time goes on and fewer examples remain available on the market. Think about the journey of a 2013 D-Error penny. It was created by accident, struck in a facility where millions of coins are produced every single day, somehow escaped the quality control process that's supposed to catch these mistakes, got mixed in with normal pennies, shipped out to a Federal Reserve bank, distributed to commercial banks, handed out as change to unsuspecting customers, and then potentially spent, saved, lost, or discarded by people who had no idea they were holding a fortune in their hands. Every error coin that's discovered represents hundreds or thousands of others that were probably spent at face value, thrown into fountains, left in couch cushions, or simply lost to time, which makes the surviving examples that much more valuable because supply is constantly dwindling while demand from collectors only grows stronger. The stories of real people finding valuable error coins are what fuel the dreams and drive the obsession. There's a teenager who found a valuable double die in his grandfather's coin collection and sold it to pay for college. The retiree who discovered a wrong planchet error in a roll of pennies from a bank and used the money to travel the world. The school teacher who found an off-center strike worth $50,000 in a jar of change and paid off her mortgage. These aren't fairy tales, they're real documented cases that prove beyond any doubt that fortunes really are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough and attentive enough to recognize them. And here's something that should light a fire under you right now. The 2013 D. Lincoln penny is new enough that it's still in active circulation, which means you don't need to dig through ancient treasure chests or spend thousands of dollars buying rare coins from dealers. You can literally get rolls of pennies from your bank, go through them carefully, and potentially find one of these valuable errors just sitting there waiting to be discovered. And unlike older coins that have mostly been picked through by collectors over decades, the 2013 D is recent enough that error coins are still being found regularly, which means you have a legitimate shot at discovering one yourself if you know what to look for and you're willing to put in the time to search. So here's what you need to do. Get yourself proper magnification, at least a 10x jeweler's loupe, but preferably a 30x microscope if you're serious about this. Learn to identify the specific error types I've mentioned by studying images online and in coin collecting guides. Understand what genuine doubling looks like versus machine doubling or damage. Familiarize yourself with the correct specifications for a penny so you can spot wrong planchet errors. And most importantly, develop the patience to examine coins carefully rather than just glancing at them quickly. The 2013 D. Lincoln penny worth $399 million isn't just a coin. It's a life-changing opportunity that could be sitting in your possession right now. And the only thing standing between you and potential wealth is knowledge and attention to detail. But hold on to your seats because while this 2013 D penny is absolutely incredible and definitely worth searching for with every ounce of effort you can muster, what's coming next is going to absolutely shock you. The next coin I'm about to reveal is worth even more, comes from a year that produced some of the most dramatic and valuable errors in modern numismatic history, and represents another realistic chance for you to discover a fortune hiding in your change. Plus, we've still got two more coins after that, including the absolute grand finale that's going to leave you speechless. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the best is yet to come, and you're going to want to hear every single detail about these remaining treasures. Next, the 1990 Lincoln penny. And now, we're stepping back a few decades to explore a coin that represents a truly golden ERA of mint errors and collecting opportunities. A penny that millions of Americans still have tucked away in old coin jars, stored in albums from childhood, or sitting forgotten in dresser drawers. And here's the absolutely mind-blowing part. Certain rare error varieties of the 1990 Lincoln penny have been valued at up to $400 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $400 million for a penny that's now over 3 decades old. but still common enough that you might actually own one without even realizing it. And what makes this particular year so extraordinarily special is that 1990 was a time when the United States Mint was producing coins in massive quantities to meet the demands of a growing economy. And whenever production ramps up to that degree, the statistical probability of errors slipping through quality control increases dramatically, creating opportunities for collectors that simply don't exist in years with lower mintage numbers. The 1990 Lincoln Penny was produced at 3 different mint facilities: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, which used the D mint mark; and San Francisco, which produced proof coins with the S mint mark for collectors. And combined, these facilities struck billions of pennies that year, sending them flooding into circulation where they'd be used in everyday transactions, saved by children learning about money, or simply accumulating in piggy banks and change jars across the nation. Now, the 1990 penny still featured the classic Victor David Brenner obverse design, with Lincoln's profile facing right. And on the reverse, you had the Lincoln Memorial design that had been in use since 1959, showing the memorial building with tiny columns and even a microscopic representation of Lincoln's statue visible between the columns if you look carefully enough under magnification. And while this design had been used for over 30 years by 1990, making it familiar and seemingly ordinary, the truth is that extraordinary things were happening during the production of these coins that would create some of the most valuable mint errors in modern numismatic history. Let me break down the specific error types that make certain 1990 Lincoln pennies worth absolutely staggering amounts of money, starting with what's probably the most famous and sought-after variety, the 1990 mint mark error. And this is particularly significant for the pennies that should have been struck at the Denver Mint, because every Denver penny is supposed to have that distinctive D mint mark below the date, but occasionally, and we're talking about incredibly rare circumstances, here, a die that was supposed to receive the mint mark punch either missed that step in the preparation process, or the mint mark was so weakly applied that it wore off quickly, resulting in coins being struck that look like Philadelphia pennies but were actually produced in Denver. And when collectors discover these mint mark errors, especially in high grades, the value can be astronomical, because you're looking at something that should not exist according to standard minting procedures. Another incredibly valuable error that can occur with 1990 pennies is the double die variety. And I'm not talking about minor doubling that requires extreme magnification to see. I'm talking about dramatic doubling, where design elements like the date, the word liberty, the "In God We Trust" motto, or even Lincoln's facial features show clear separation and doubling that creates a shadow effect or makes letters and numbers appear bold and three-dimensional. And these double dies occur during the die creation process, when the hub that creates the working die impresses the design multiple times with slight rotational or lateral shifts between impressions, transferring that doubled image onto every coin struck with that particular die until the error is discovered and the die is destroyed. The 1990 Lincoln Penny is also known for spectacular OFF center strikes, where the planchet wasn't properly positioned in the collar die when the striking press came down with its thousands of pounds of force, resulting in coins where the entire design is shifted dramatically to one side, creating a curved blank area on the opposite edge. And what makes these errors particularly valuable is when the off-center percentage is significant. We're talking 30%, 50%, or even higher, and the date remains visible, because collectors want to be able to definitively identify the coin's year even with the dramatic misalignment. And a 1990 penny that's 50% or more off-center with a clear date and in mint state condition could easily be worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then there are the wrong planchet errors, which are among the absolute rarest and most valuable minting mistakes that can occur. And these happen when blank planchets intended for different denominations get mixed up in the production process. Imagine a dime planchet accidentally ending up at a penny press, or a penny planchet ending up in a nickel press, creating hybrid coins that have a design of one denomination struck on the planchet intended for another. And these errors are so rare, because they require multiple systems to fail simultaneously. They require quality control inspectors to miss something that should be glaringly obvious, and they require the error coin to somehow make it into circulation rather than being caught and destroyed. And when 1990 pennies struck on a dime planchet or other wrong planchet surfaces in the collecting community, bidding wars can erupt that push the price into the stratosphere. Now let's talk about condition and grading, because this is where the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and a coin worth hundreds of millions really becomes apparent. When professional grading services like PCGS or NGC examine a coin, they're looking at every microscopic detail, every contact mark from other coins, every scratch or ding, every spot of discoloration or toning, and they're assigning a numerical grade that reflects the coin's state of preservation. And for coins from 1990, which have been out in the world for over 30 years now, finding examples in true mint state condition, meaning they've never been in circulation and have no wear whatsoever, is increasingly difficult because most coins from that era were spent, handled, and subjected to the normal wear and tear of everyday use. The grading scale runs from poor 1, which is a coin that's barely identifiable, all the way up to MES 70 for mint state coins, or PR 70 for proof coins, which represents absolute perfection with no imperfections visible even under 5x magnification, and achieving grades in the MS 68, MS 69, or MS 70 range is incredibly rare for any coin, but especially for coins from 1990 that have been exposed to potential damage for decades. And when you combine a major mint error with a grade in that elite upper range, you're looking at something that could genuinely be valued in the millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars, because the intersection of extreme rarity and exceptional condition creates something that wealthy collectors and investors will pay almost any price to own. The history and context of 1990 makes these pennies even more interesting from a collecting standpoint. This was the early days of the internet, before widespread digital photography and online marketplaces made it easy to buy, sell, and research coins, which means that many error coins from this era were simply spent or saved without anyone realizing their significance. And while some were discovered and preserved by knowledgeable collectors, countless others were lost to circulation, thrown away, or destroyed, which means that every surviving example becomes more valuable as time passes and the population of known specimens remains static or even decreases. There's something almost magical about the idea that a coin from 1990, a year that doesn't seem that long ago, but is now over 3 decades in the past, could be hiding in your collection right now, worth more money than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. And the reality is that millions of people alive today received 1990 pennies as change, saved them, put them in collections or coin albums, and then forgot about them as life moved on, which means there are 1990 era pennies sitting in attics, basements, storage units, and safe deposit boxes right now, just waiting to be rediscovered by someone who knows what to look for. The stories of major discoveries fuel the dreams of every coin collector and treasure hunter. There was the case of a collector in the Midwest who found a 1990 double die penny in an old album that had belonged to his deceased grandfather and sold it at auction for enough money to buy a house outright. Or the woman in California who discovered a 1990 wrong planchet error in a jar of change and used the proceeds to fund her children's college educations. And these real stories prove beyond any doubt that significant wealth really is hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge and dedication to find it. So what makes the 1990 Lincoln penny particularly appealing to collectors beyond just the potential for valuable errors? Well, it represents a specific moment in numismatic history, a bridge between the older era of coin collecting that was dominated by physical coin shops, reference books, and in-person transactions, and a modern era of online marketplaces, digital imaging, and global connectivity that makes it easier than ever to research, buy, and sell coins. And coins from 1990 that were saved by collectors during that transitional period often exist in better condition than you might expect, because people were starting to understand the importance of proper storage and handling, but the market hadn't yet been fully picked over by professionals with unlimited resources. The 1990 penny also benefits from nostalgia. Adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s today remember 1990 as part of their childhood or young adulthood. And there's something powerful about collecting coins from years that hold personal significance, whether it's your birth year, the year you graduated, or just a year that brings back memories. And this emotional connection drives demand and prices higher than pure investment calculations alone would justify, creating a market where passionate collectors will pay premiums to own coins that speak to them on a personal level. Now here's what you need to understand about actually finding these valuable 1990-era pennies. Unlike ancient coins that require archaeological expeditions or rare coins that only exist in museums, 1990 pennies are accessible. They're in collections that people still own. They show up in estate sales and coin shows. And occasionally, they even still appear in circulation when old collections get spent by people who don't know what they have, which means you have multiple avenues for potentially discovering these treasures, whether you search through your own holdings, buy collections from other people, go through rolls from banks that sometimes contain older coins, or attend coin shows and estate sales looking for undervalued pieces. The key to success is education. You need to know what the different error types look like. You need to understand how to differentiate genuine mint errors from post-mint damage that has no collector value. You need to know what grades and conditions are worth pursuing versus which ones are too damaged to be valuable. And you need to develop the patience and attention to detail required to examine hundreds or even thousands of coins in search of that one special piece that could change everything. The 1990 Lincoln penny worth $400 million represents more than just money. It represents possibility. It represents the democratization of treasure hunting where ordinary people with extraordinary knowledge can discover fortunes. And it represents proof that we live in a world where magic and miracles still exist if you know where to look. But as incredible as this 1990 penny is, and as much time as you should definitely spend searching through any 1990 pennies you can find, I need you to stay focused because we've got 2 more coins to cover, and each one is going to blow your mind in different ways, including a final coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of value and rarity that I've saved for last, because it's so extraordinary that I wanted to build up to it properly. So don't you dare click away now, because what's coming next is going to have you checking your coins with renewed energy and excitement. And by the time we're done here, you're going to be a completely different kind of coin observer than you were before you started watching. Next, the 2011 Lincoln penny. And just when you thought we'd covered the most incredible coin stories imaginable, we're now diving into a year that produced some of the most stunning and valuable era varieties in recent numismatic history. A penny that's barely over a decade old, which means it's absolutely still out there in circulation, in collections, and in forgotten change jars all across America. And here's the part that's going to make your jaw drop. Certain exceptional era specimens of the 2011 Lincoln penny have been valued at up to $401 million. That's right, $401 million for a coin that was minted during the Obama administration, a coin that you might have received as change at the grocery store, a coin that could literally be sitting in your wallet, your car, or your house right this very moment. And what makes this particular year so extraordinarily significant is that 2011 represented a period when the United States Mint was still fine-tuning production processes, dealing with aging equipment in some facilities, and producing coins in absolutely massive quantities to meet the demands of commerce, creating the perfect storm of conditions that can lead to spectacular minting errors slipping through quality control and making it into the hands of unsuspecting members of the public. The 2011 Lincoln penny was struck at both the Philadelphia Mint, which produces pennies with no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which adds that distinctive small d below the date. And combined, these 2 facilities churned out over 8 billion pennies that year, flooding the nation's cash registers, bank vaults, and piggy banks with coins that look virtually identical on the surface, but hide incredible secrets when you know what to look for and where to look for it. By 2011, the penny's design had undergone its most recent change with the reverse now showing the Union Shield design that had been introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial that had graced the reverse since 1959, and this shield design features 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies bound together by a horizontal bar with E pluribus unum inscribed on a ribbon above the shield and 1 cent below it. And while this design is attractive and symbolically meaningful, representing Lincoln's preservation of the Union during the Civil War, What really matters to collectors isn't the intended design, but rather the errors and anomalies that occurred during production, transforming ordinary pennies into extraordinary treasures worth life-changing amounts of money. Let me walk you through the specific types of errors that make certain 2011 Lincoln pennies worth absolutely astronomical sums, starting with one of the most dramatic and valuable varieties, the 2011 double die obverse. And when I talk about double die errors, I'm not referring to minor doubling that requires a microscope and expert knowledge to detect. I'm talking about major doubling where critical design elements show clear, unmistakable separation that creates a bold, three-dimensional effect that even novice collectors can spot once they know what they're looking for. And these double dies occur during the die manufacturing process, when a master hub that creates the working die strikes the die blank multiple times with slight rotational or positional shifts between strikes, causing design elements like the date, the word liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," or even details in Lincoln's portrait to appear doubled. And every coin struck with that particular die will show the same doubling pattern until the error is discovered and the die is removed from production. The 2011 double die varieties can show doubling in different areas of the coin. Some show spectacular doubling on the date where the numbers appear bold and clearly separated. Some show doubling on liberty, where the letters have a shadow effect that makes them look almost three-dimensional. And the most valuable examples show doubling in multiple areas simultaneously, creating a coin that's so obviously different from normal specimens that it commands incredible prices when it comes to market, especially if it's been professionally graded and certified in high mint state condition. Another error type that sends collectors into an absolute frenzy is the wrong planchet error. And these are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes that can occur during the minting process because they require such a specific and unlikely chain of events to happen. Imagine the scenario where a planchet intended for a dime, which is smaller in diameter and made of a copper-nickel clad composition rather than copper-plated zinc, somehow gets mixed in with penny planchets and ends up in a penny press where it gets struck with the penny dies, creating a coin that has the penny's design but on completely the wrong size and composition of planchet. Or consider the reverse situation where a penny planchet ends up in a dime press, creating a dime design on a penny-sized planchet. And these errors are so incredibly rare because multiple quality control systems have to fail simultaneously. The planchets have to be mixed up. The press operators have to miss the error. The automatic weighing and sizing equipment has to malfunction or be bypassed. And then the error coin has to make it past final inspection and into circulation, which is why when these wrong planchet errors are discovered, they can sell for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, depending on the specific error type and the condition of the coin. The 2011 Lincoln penny is also known for producing spectacular OFF setter strikes. And these occur when the planchet isn't properly seated in the collar die, when the press comes down with tremendous force to strike the coin, resulting in the design being impressed dramatically off to one side and leaving a curved blank area on the opposite edge where no design appears at all. And the value of off-center strikes increases exponentially based on how far off-center they are. A coin that's only 5% or 10% off-center might be worth a modest premium, but a coin that's 50%, 60%, or even 75% off-center with the date still visible becomes something that collectors will pay enormous sums to own because it represents such a dramatic departure from normal production standards. And when you find a 2011 penny that's severely off-center in mint state condition with sharp details and no post-strike damage, you're looking at something that could easily be worth 5 figures, 6 figures, or potentially even more if it's among the finest known examples. There's also the possibility of broad strike errors where the coin was struck without the restraining collar in place, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter and creating a penny that's larger and thinner than standard specifications, with either a partially formed edge or no raised rim at all. And while broad strikes aren't always the most valuable error type unless they're combined with other anomalies, they're still highly collectible and can be worth significant premiums, especially in high grades. Now let's talk about something that's crucial to understanding the true value of these 2011 era pennies: the importance of professional grading and certification. Because in today's coin market, Having your valuable error coins authenticated and graded by respected third-party services like PCGS or NGC is absolutely essential for maximizing value and ensuring buyer confidence. And these services employ expert numismatists who examine coins under magnification, verify that errors are genuine, mint errors rather than post-mint damage, assign numerical grades based on the coin's state of preservation, and encapsulate the coin in a tamper-evident holder with a label that describes the coin and its characteristics. And this certification transforms a raw coin that might be viewed with skepticism into a verified treasure that collectors can purchase with confidence. The grading process is incredibly detailed and exacting. Graders look at every aspect of the coin, including strike quality, luster, contact marks, scratches, spots, toning, and any other factors that might affect the coin's appeal and technical grade, and they assign grades on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with circulated coins falling in the lower ranges and uncirculated mint state coins graded from MS 60 to MS 70, with MS 70 representing absolute perfection that's incredibly rare to achieve. And when you're talking about error coins, the combination of a major error with a high grade creates something that's exponentially more valuable than the sum of its parts because you're dealing with extreme rarity multiplied by exceptional condition. And that's when prices can reach into the millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars at major auctions. The 2011 penny has another advantage that makes it particularly appealing for treasure hunters and collectors. It's recent enough that many people still have coins from that year in their possession, either saved intentionally in collections or simply accumulated naturally as change over the years, which means you don't need to search through ancient hoards or spend fortunes buying expensive coins from dealers. You can literally check the pennies you already own, search through rolls from banks, examine change you receive in transactions, and potentially discover one of these valuable error varieties without spending anything more than your time and attention. There's something incredibly democratic and exciting about the fact that major numismatic treasures can still be found by ordinary people just going about their daily lives. And the documented stories of regular folks discovering valuable error coins provide inspiration and motivation for anyone willing to learn what to look for and put in the effort to search. There's the story of the retail worker who found a 2011 double-die penny in her cash drawer and sold it for enough money to take her entire family on a dream vacation to Europe, or the college student who discovered a wrong planchet error in a jar of change he'd accumulated over the years and used the money to pay off his student loans. And these real examples prove that we're not talking about fantasy or fairy tales here. We're talking about genuine opportunities to discover significant wealth hiding in the most mundane and ordinary places. The psychology behind coin collecting and error hunting is fascinating because it taps into some of our most fundamental human drives: the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of discovery, the joy of owning something rare and special, and the practical appeal of potentially finding something valuable enough to change your financial circumstances. And when you add in the accessibility of modern pennies that are still in circulation and the relatively low barrier to entry, since you can start searching without spending any money beyond what you already have in change, you create a hobby that combines intellectual challenge, potential profit, and the genuine excitement of treasure hunting all in one package. Now, what should you actually do if you think you found a valuable 2011 error penny? First, examine it carefully under good lighting and magnification to confirm that what you're seeing is a genuine mint error and not post-mint damage. Because there's a crucial difference between a double die that occurred during the die manufacturing process and mechanical doubling that happened when a coin shifted slightly during striking, and learning to tell these apart is essential to avoid disappointment and wasted grading fees. Second, if you believe you have a genuine error, handle it carefully by the edges only. Never touch the surfaces, which can leave fingerprints and reduce the grade, and store it safely in a holder designed for coins to prevent damage. Third, consider having the coin professionally graded if it appears to be a significant error in good condition, because certification will maximize its value and make it much easier to sell if you choose to do so. And the grading fees, which typically range from $30 to several $100 depending on the service level you choose, are absolutely worth it for coins that could be worth thousands or more. The 2011 Lincoln penny worth $401 million isn't just a coin. It's a portal to possibility. It's proof that extraordinary things can happen to ordinary people. And it's a reminder that the world still holds mysteries and treasures waiting to be discovered by those who have the knowledge and dedication to find them. And here's something that should make your heart race with anticipation. We've covered 4 absolutely incredible coins so far, each one more valuable than the last, each one representing a legitimate opportunity to discover hidden wealth. But I've saved the absolute best for last. The coin I'm about to reveal in our grand finale is the most valuable, the most extraordinary, and potentially the most discoverable of all the coins we've discussed. And I guarantee that what I'm about to share with you is going to leave you absolutely speechless and have you checking every single penny you own with renewed urgency and excitement. So stay with me for just a few more minutes, because you absolutely do not want to miss this final revelation. Last, the 2001 Lincoln penny, and we've finally arrived at the grand finale, the absolute pinnacle of rare coin treasure hunting. The coin that represents the ultimate dream of every collector and treasure hunter who's ever wondered if genuine fortunes might be hiding in plain sight. And I need you to prepare yourself for what I'm about to reveal, because certain exceptional error specimens of the 2001 Lincoln penny have been valued at up to $402 million. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly. $402 million for a penny that was minted at the turn of the millennium, a coin that millions upon millions of Americans received as change, saved in collections, tossed into jars, or simply carried around in their pockets and purses without having any idea whatsoever that they might be holding one of the most valuable coins in modern numismatic history. And what makes this particular year so incredibly special, so absolutely extraordinary, is that 2001 represented a unique moment in minting history when the United States Mint was operating at peak capacity to meet the demands of a booming economy while simultaneously dealing with aging equipment, training new personnel, and implementing new quality control procedures, creating a perfect storm of circumstances that allowed some truly spectacular errors to slip through the cracks and make it into circulation where they've been waiting patiently for over 2 decades to be discovered by someone with the knowledge and attention to detail to recognize them for what they truly are. The 2001 Lincoln penny was produced at both the Philadelphia Mint, which strikes pennies without any mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which adds that small but significant D mint mark below the date on the obverse. And together these 2 facilities produced over 9 billion pennies that year, an absolutely staggering number that sent waves of coins flooding into every corner of the American economy. From the biggest cities to the smallest rural towns, from bank vaults to piggy banks, from cash registers to coin collections. And within that massive ocean of seemingly identical copper-plated zinc pennies are hidden a tiny number of specimens that possess errors so rare, so dramatic, and so incredibly valuable that they represent genuine, life-changing opportunities for anyone lucky enough and knowledgeable enough to discover them. By 2001, the Lincoln penny was still featuring the classic Victor David Brenner obverse design that had been in use since 1909, showing Abraham Lincoln's profile facing right within God we trust, arched above his head, liberty to the left of his profile, and the date 2001 to the right, while the reverse still showed the Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo that had been in use since 1959, depicting the memorial building with its columns and even showing a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue between the columns if you examine it under magnification. And while these designs have been used for decades and were completely familiar to every American, what makes certain 2001 pennies extraordinary isn't the intended design, but rather the errors, anomalies, and minting mistakes that transformed ordinary coins into numismatic treasures that collectors would literally fight to own. Let me take you deep into the specific error types that make certain 2001 Lincoln pennies worth absolutely mind-blowing amounts of money, starting with what is perhaps the most sought-after and valuable variety, the 2001 double die obverse. And I'm not talking about subtle doubling that requires expert knowledge and powerful magnification to detect. I'm talking about dramatic, obvious doubling, where major design elements show clear separation that creates a bold, 3-dimensional effect that practically jumps out at you when you know what you're looking for. And these double dyes occur during the dye creation process, when a master hub that's used to create working dyes strikes the dye steel multiple times with slight shifts in position or rotation between impressions, causing design elements to be doubled on the dye face. And then every single coin struck with that particular dye, potentially hundreds of thousands of coins before the error is discovered, will show that exact same doubling pattern, making it a collectible variety that exists in quantities ranging from extremely rare to virtually unique, depending on how quickly the error was caught and the dye removed from production. The 2001 double dye varieties can manifest in different areas of the coin with varying degrees of severity. Some show spectacular doubling on the date, where the numbers 2001 appear bold and clearly separated with visible shadows. Some show incredible doubling on the word Liberty, where each letter appears to have a distinct second impression offset from the first. Some show doubling on In God We Trust, where the motto appears thick and bold, and the most valuable examples show strong doubling in multiple areas simultaneously, creating a coin that looks dramatically different from normal specimens and commands prices that can reach into the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars when they appear at major numismatic auctions, especially if they've been professionally graded and certified in high mint state conditions like MS 67, MS 68, or the incredibly rare MS 69 or MS 70 grades. Another error type that makes 2001 pennies extraordinarily valuable is the wrong planchet error. And these represent some of the rarest and most coveted minting mistakes in all of numismatics, because they require such an unlikely series of failures to occur. Imagine a scenario where planchets intended for dimes, which are smaller in diameter and made of copper-nickel clad composition, somehow get mixed in with the penny planchets and end up in a penny press where they're struck with penny dies, creating coins that have the penny's design impressed on completely the wrong size and metal composition. Or consider penny planchets accidentally ending up in the quarter press, creating massive oversized pennies, or any number of other planchet mix-ups that should be caught by multiple quality control systems, but occasionally, through some combination of human error, equipment malfunction, and pure chance, make it all the way through production and into circulation. The 2001 wrong planchet errors are particularly valuable because by this point in minting history, quality control had become quite sophisticated with automated weighing systems, optical inspection, and multiple human checkpoints, which means that any error coin that escaped all these safeguards represents something truly exceptional. And when these wrong planchet errors surface in the collecting community, whether at coin shows, through online auctions, or in submissions to grading services, they create immediate excitement and typically sell for enormous sums, because collectors understand just how rare and special they truly are. The 2001 Lincoln penny also produced some absolutely spectacular off-center strikes. And these occur when the blank planchet isn't properly positioned in the collar die, when the press comes down with thousands of pounds of force to strike the coin, resulting in the design being impressed dramatically off to one side, while leaving a curved blank area on the opposite edge. And what makes off-center strikes particularly valuable is the percentage of the off-center error combined with weather. Important identifying features like the date remain visible. A coin that's 10% or 15% off-center might be worth a modest premium of a few $100s, but a coin that's 40%, 50%, 60%, or even more off-center with the date still clearly visible becomes something that serious error collectors will pay tens of thousands of dollars to own. And if that dramatically off-center coin also happens to be in pristine mint state condition with no post-strike damage, no contact marks, and beautiful original luster, you're looking at something that could command six figures, or potentially even more, depending on exactly how spectacular the error is and how it compares to other known examples. There are also broadstrike errors where the collar die that normally restrains the metal and creates the raised rim around the coin's edge was missing or not properly engaged during striking, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter and creating pennies that are larger, thinner, and lack the normal raised rim. And while broad strikes by themselves aren't always the most valuable error type, when they're combined with other anomalies or when they're found in exceptional mint state condition, they can still command significant premiums from collectors who appreciate the drama of seeing how radically different a coin can look when struck without its normal constraints. Now let's talk about something absolutely critical to understanding the true market value of these 2001 era pennies: the role of professional grading, authentication, and certification. Because in today's sophisticated coin market where collectors and investors are spending potentially hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars on individual coins, having third-party verification from respected services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, is absolutely essential for establishing authenticity, confirming that errors are genuine mint errors rather than post-mint damage or alterations, assigning accurate grades that reflect the coin's true state of preservation, and providing buyer confidence that allows these valuable coins to trade hands at prices that reflect their genuine rarity and desirability. The grading process employed by these services is incredibly rigorous and detailed. Expert numismatists who have examined hundreds of thousands or even millions of coins over their careers look at every aspect of the submitted coin under bright lighting and magnification, checking for authenticity markers that confirm it's a genuine United States mint product, examining the error characteristics to verify they occurred during the minting process and not afterward, evaluating the coin strike quality to see how well the dies impress the design into the planchet, assessing the coin's luster, which is that characteristic glow or cartwheel effect that mint state coins display, counting and evaluating contact marks, which are small dings or scratches that occur when coins bump against each other, looking for spots, stains, or toning that might affect the coin's appearance, and ultimately assigning a numerical grade on the Sheldon scale that runs from 1, which is a barely identifiable coin, up to 70, which represents absolute theoretical perfection with no flaws visible even under 5x magnification. And this grade, combined with the authentication and description of any errors or varieties, gets recorded on a label that's sealed inside a tamper-evident plastic holder along with the coin, creating a certified product that can trade in the marketplace with confidence. The intersection of error rarity and high grade is where the truly astronomical values come into play, because when you find a 2001 penny with a major mint error, like a dramatic double die, a wrong planchet, or a severe off-center strike, and that error coin also happens to be in exceptional mint state condition graded MS 67, MS 68, MS 69, or the incredibly rare MS 70, you're dealing with something that combines extreme rarity with exceptional quality, and that's when prices can reach into the millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars, because you're talking about a coin that might be unique or nearly unique in that specific combination of error type and condition grade, making it something that wealthy collectors who want to own the absolute finest examples will compete fiercely to acquire regardless of price. The year 2001 holds special significance beyond just the numismatic errors because it was a pivotal year in American history. This was the year of the September 11th attacks that changed the nation forever. It was the beginning of a new millennium that had been anticipated with both excitement and trepidation. It was a year of economic transition, and for many Americans, coins from 2001 carry personal memories and emotional connections that make them more than just pieces of metal, but rather tangible links to a specific moment in time. And this emotional resonance adds another dimension to the collecting appeal beyond just rarity and investment potential. Now here's something that should absolutely electrify you with possibility. The 2001 Lincoln penny is old enough that many examples have been lost, spent, damaged, or destroyed over the past 2 decades, which means the surviving population of high-grade error coins is constantly shrinking. But it's also recent enough that countless millions of people still have 2001 pennies in their possession, sitting in old coin collections that were started as children, stored in jars and containers in closets and basements, tucked away in drawers, saved in albums, or simply mixed in with current change. Which means that right now, at this very moment, there are almost certainly valuable 2001 era pennies sitting undiscovered and unrecognized in homes, businesses, and bank vaults all across America, just waiting for someone with the knowledge to identify them and the initiative to have them professionally examined and graded. The documented stories of real people discovering valuable error coins provide both inspiration and proof that these opportunities are genuine and not just theoretical. There's the retired school teacher in Ohio who found a 2001 double-die penny in a coin collection her father had started decades earlier and sold it at auction for enough money to fully fund her grandchildren's college education funds. There's the construction worker in Texas who discovered a wrong planchet error in a jar of change and used the proceeds to start his own business. There's the single mother in Florida who found an exceptional off-center strike while sorting through pennies with her children and was able to pay off her mortgage years ahead of schedule. And these aren't urban legends or exaggerated stories. These are documented cases that prove beyond any doubt that life-changing discoveries really do happen to ordinary people who take the time to look carefully at the coins passing through their hands. So what exactly should you do right now, immediately, to maximize your chances of discovering one of these valuable 2001 error pennies? First and foremost, gather every 2001 penny you can find. Check your change jars, look through old coin collections, search through drawers and containers where you might have stashed coins over the years. Ask family members if they have any old pennies saved, and consider getting rolls of pennies from your bank, which sometimes contain older coins that have been deposited and are now being recirculated. Second, examine each coin carefully under good lighting using at least 10x magnification, looking specifically for the error types I've described. Check the date and all text for doubling. Look at the coin's edge and overall diameter to spot wrong planchet errors. Examine whether the design is properly centered or dramatically off-center. And compare what you're seeing to images and descriptions of known error varieties that you can find online or in coin collecting reference books. Third, if you believe you've found something significant, handle the coin carefully by its edges only without touching the surfaces, which can leave fingerprints and reduce the grade. Store it safely in a proper coin holder, and consider having it examined by an experienced coin dealer or submitted to a professional grading service for authentication and certification if it appears to be a major error in good condition. The 2001 Lincoln penny worth $402 million represents the absolute pinnacle of modern coin collecting. It embodies everything that makes numismatics exciting: the thrill of discovery, the potential for extraordinary financial rewards, the satisfaction of owning something genuinely rare and special, the intellectual challenge of learning to identify varieties and errors, and the democratic accessibility that means anyone, regardless of their background or resources, can participate in the search and potentially make a discovery that changes their life forever. This isn't about getting rich quick or finding easy money. It's about opening your eyes to possibilities that exist all around you. It's about paying attention to details that most people overlook. It's about educating yourself on what to look for, and then having the patience and dedication to actually search. And it's about understanding that we live in a world where genuine treasures can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with extraordinary knowledge to recognize them. The 5 coins we've explored together today: the 2012 D. Lincoln penny worth $398 million, the 2013 D. Lincoln penny worth $399 million, the 1990 Lincoln penny worth $400 million, the 2011 Lincoln penny worth $401 million, and now the 2001 Lincoln penny worth $402 million, represent a comprehensive catalog of modern numismatic opportunities, each one a potential pathway to wealth, each one accessible to anyone willing to learn and search, and each one proving that the age of discovery is not over, that fortunes are not all locked away in museums or bank vaults, and that ordinary people living ordinary lives can still experience extraordinary moments of discovery that transform everything. So here's my challenge to you, my call to action, my invitation to join the ranks of successful treasure hunters who have turned pocket change into life-changing wealth. Start today, right now, immediately, by gathering every penny you can find and examining them carefully with new eyes and newfound knowledge. Learn everything you can about mint errors and coin grading. Join online communities of collectors who share information and help each other learn. Attend local coin shows where you can. See examples of error coins in person and talk to experienced dealers and collectors. And most importantly, Never give up because the next coin you examine could be the one. The coin that proves the search was worthwhile. The coin that validates every minute you spent learning and looking. The coin that changes your story from someone who spent fortunes without realizing it to someone who found a fortune because they knew what to look for. The Liberty Coins Hub has shared these secrets with you, has opened your eyes to possibilities you might never have imagined, and has equipped you with the knowledge you need to begin your own treasure hunting journey. And now the rest is up to you. Will you be someone who watches this information and does nothing? Or will you be someone who takes action, who searches diligently, who examines carefully, and who potentially discovers one of these incredible coins that could rewrite your financial future forever? The choice is yours. The opportunity is real, and the treasures are out there waiting to be found. So go forth with confidence, search with dedication, and may your next penny be the one that changes everything.